Now on Radio Italia Uno. It's time for Happy Business Radio with Peter Salerno. An hour where we have lots of fun with very interesting guests. We talk about how to start, build, and increase your business. Right now, on Radio Italia Uno, 87.6 FM.
Yes, hello, good morning, good afternoon and good night, and thank you for listening. And the reason why we say good morning, good afternoon and good night is because we are being heard in Adelaide from 2 till 3 every Monday afternoon, and on podcast around the world to over 30 countries at the moment, and they are listening to it in their time zone. So thank you very much, all you guys that are listening to this. And please keep sending me the messages that you send me. Let me know what you think of each show, or if there's something specific that you're studying or you want to know more about, let me know. Again, we did some recording the other day, and today we're recording here thanks to Podcast City in Adelaide, and Ron is with us every week to help us put that to the podcast. So listen to the podcast on whatever channel you take your podcast from. And of course, we just want to say thank you to everybody. And some of you guys, hi, you can see us. We're actually videoing this today, and you can see my special guest alongside me, but I'll introduce this beautiful lady in just a while. Let me just say, I got a couple more emails yesterday and last night, and from a couple of people that actually had responded to a show that I did just before Christmas. We talked about planning, the importance of planning, the importance of making the plan, and all the different factors that come into it. You know, there are so many different steps to it. And one of the guys sent me a message saying, how it really prompted him to do something over Christmas, and how at the beginning of January he already had his plan, and he's going to work on stuff. And somebody else sent me something which I thought was quite funny. Unfortunately, I didn't bring that with me, but it was something like, this year in 2020, I'm going to... I promised myself I'm going to do what I planned to do last year, 2021, which were organised in 2020 that I didn't do in 2019, and the plan was made in 2018. So for the last 3 years, they've been putting off things, and because of COVID, they've gone all high wire. And so I thought that was quite funny. But on a serious note, somebody sent this to me, and it said, thank you, all the thank yous and all that they had put in the thing. But I picked up this sentence out of it, and it said, don't forget the lifestyle you promised yourself. He said, sometimes I was talking to Ron before, and he said how sometimes somebody says something and you don't take any notice of it. And then somebody else says it and you think, oh, wow. And this was one of those things that I was talking about, that a lot of people promise they're going to do something. And when you make a plan, make it outstanding. And even yesterday morning when I was doing some consulting with one of the businessmen, he said about how we don't tend to make our plans outstanding enough. It's not until we're older and got lots of money, that's when we think of buying a Ferrari, or that's when we think of buying a Rolls Royce, or that's when we'll say, okay, I think I'll buy my own plane. But that was never in the original plan. You see, so people do not plan an outstanding plan. And this is part of it. Don't forget the lifestyle you promised yourself. And that's what we're here for. Every week, I have special guests here in the studio to talk to us and help you. So today, I've got a wonderful lady that I've known for quite a few years, lucky enough, Ilona Solinska, and she is a Hungarian German background, and she grew up here in Australia. She travelled around the world, and believe it or not, she was a professional dancer, right? As a young girl, a very, very young girl. As a child prodigy, literally, she was a professional dancer. She danced all around the world, represented her country, and did a whole lot of things like that. But in Australia, as people say, go and get a job. So she went to study, and she set up a company called Synergy Consulting Australia. And she also has another company in her own name, and that will ask her to tell us all about it. So welcome to our program. Thank you again for coming in. I know we had you in last year and a couple of other times previously. So thank you, Ilona, for coming in.
My pleasure. Thank you very much for having me, Peter, and hello, listeners.
Yes, thank you. Look, Ilona has got a story to tell, and a few years back she had a major accident and caused major head injuries, and you know, it's hard to get over anything, any accident, any illness or whatever. But when you're running a business, which is an international business that you have built up from, you know, it's your baby, you grew it from nowhere, and then get hit with something like that. And more importantly, the fact that you recovered and you're still going stronger and stronger and stronger. So just take us back to when you were a little girl. What was your aspirations then, you know? Because this is important, because a lot of people don't even remember what their aspirations were. They say, I wanted to be a cowboy. I wanted to be a fireman. I wanted to be a policeman.
I wanted to be an Indian.
Yeah, I wanted to be a rocket scientist or something, you know, an astronaut. So,
Well, I was born with the talent of dancing. I can interpret music very well and can express it in movement. So my parents, very early stages, recognized that, and naturally they put me in a folk dance group, which is a Hungarian folk dance group.
of course, every Hungarian does folk dancing.
So I was a little 3-year-old sitting on stage and trying to copy the bigger girls. Then I was naturally fully trained in classical ballet. My first performance or tour was actually at the age of 5 around Europe.
Yeah.
And that was a good experience. But as a child in that age, I didn't get paid like the older ones, but I was paid in chocolate and sweets per performance.
Wow.
So I was a very smart little cookie at the age of 5, and I went up to the director and I said to him, I can actually put my own choreography into certain parts of the performance. And so he allowed me to do that. So I was smart, because every single dance I tried to get in doing something to get chocolate.
Yes.
And eventually they picked up on that and said, hold on, this child shouldn't eat that much chocolate. That doesn't work. But yeah, so I done classical ballet, modern ballet. I done ballroom, represented my country in junior league that was in Germany. I done different Latin American dances and contemporary. And at the moment, I mean, I also done Argentine tango, where I do my own choreography. And I traveled around the Caribbean and at the time different states of Australia all the way up to Asia. So this entire dancing experience was wonderful, but my parents always said, you can't do dancing. Dancing doesn't bring any money in. Go back to school. And I sort of was frustrated, because couldn't they see that this is my calling? And I just said pretty much ruining my entire life. I have to go back to school. I don't want to go back to school.
So the thing is, though, I mean, obviously you went back to school and you studied the rest of it. Yeah.
Not another choice.
This is the thing, though. I want to just go back to the dancing, because while you were dancing, there were things that you were learning you had no idea that you were actually learning. And we just spoke about them just before we went on air. So this is important that the people listening to this and watching it get to understand what you actually learnt or what you picked up, because you were taught discipline and you were taught the choreography to do certain things in a certain way.
When you get getting to a certain level in dancing, at first you just learn it, but eventually when you get really good, and I had this talent, so I was a prodigy. And I was picked out consistently as highly talented.
Yes.
But with that comes responsibility. Hours of rehearsing.
Yes.
You have to be a perfectionist. Everything has to be perfect, and you have to go over and over and over.
Every move.
Every tiny little move until it's perfect. And this discipline and hard work and this mindset of I will not give up until I achieve perfection.
Yes.
That is what helped me a lot in building my business.
Yes, I think that's where the connection is, you see. The fact is that because you were so disciplined in training, doing the dance steps and trying to get the perfection and the moves and all that sort of stuff right, so you get the points and so you get the prizes and the awards and people admire the dance, that is training.
And you have to consider that by nature, I'm a lazy person. I'm neither academic,
Yes.
and I was lazy. So it was physically, you have no other choice. If you want to succeed, you have to practice.
Well, look, with all due respect, I think lazy is the wrong word because...
You have no idea how smart I am in getting out of things still
Yes,
now.
in that case, we'll call you smart. See, in that case,
I'm
it was
street smart.
It's street smart. See, what is very important, and what I want the viewers to see, or what I want the listeners to hear, is the fact is that you were doing what you were told to do.
Yes.
Right? You were coachable.
Very
You see,
coachable.
and this is what we're talking about in business. That's why it relates back. See, you had this urge to win, to keep going, to get it perfect, to do the dance
Perfection.
steps.
I was into perfection, and I had no other choice. I had trainers, I had choreographers.
Yeah.
They told me what they expect from me,
Okay.
and I had to go over and over.
And this
with
is
certain
exactly what we
moves.
talk about in business. You had the choreographers, you had the directors,
Yeah.
you had the musicians,
Yes.
and you had to go follow the music, you had to follow the directions, you had to follow the choreography.
You have to listen.
And you have to listen to all those different people around you.
Yes.
That's a team.
It is.
You
and
have the team around you.
That's right. And
So-
sometimes you don't understand what they're telling you because you think I'm doing it right, and they tell me
But
it's
the
wrong.
music's at a different beat.
No, it's just my movements where I could swear I done it right.
Yes.
By God, I can swear
in
it.
my head, I did it right.
And they just tell me, no, you were out. You
Yeah.
have to do this. And I was angry and
Yeah.
frustrating, and I could chuck it in and
Yeah.
why I'm doing this.
Yeah.
And of course, it's their fault, not mine.
It's always somebody else's fault.
Yeah.
That's right. And I always say it's Ron's fault because he didn't get it right. It's not my fault. I mean, I didn't make a mistake.
No.
I can blame anybody very quickly. No, I've learned not to do that now. But the point is, it's interesting that you raise that because in business, people always blame circumstances beyond their control.
Always.
And yet they took control, they would have done it. Now, we're coming back to here and we're going to talk about the COVID and your business. But, during this period of COVID, which has hit the whole world, there are some businesses that have closed up straight away. Some of them closed up right at the beginning. Some of them, as soon as they heard it was coming, they closed up. Some of them gave up before they even came, and then others, surprisingly enough, during this last 3 or 4 years, have gone bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and have grown much, much stronger and much more stable because they've looked at, quickly put out their prongs and balanced themselves a lot better and got their business together, pulled in all their team and said, right, how are we going to cope with this, And that's what we're talking about. Now, obviously, you started your business quite a long time ago, right? You've been Synergy Australia has been going for a long, how many years now?
20 years or
20
so.
years already.
Yeah,
See,
yeah.
so the fact is,
But I was also self-employed before Synergy.
Yes.
I was one of the youngest self-employed people in Germany because in Germany at the time you can't get just an ABN number.
Mm-hmm.
You have to prove to the government that you actually have a good, successful business idea.
Yes,
And I was
to do it.
21 to
Yeah.
do that. I don't even know how
Yeah.
I managed to get that.
yeah. So it goes to prove, though, that the things you learn when you're a child can hold you in good stead when you're an adult, or vice versa. The things you learn as a child have to be relearnt as an adult. I do hypnotherapy. My wife is a clinical hypnotherapist, and I say to people, no, I don't do hypnotherapy. I do dehypnotizing, because people are hypnotized to do things a certain way. And they just go bang, 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 bang. Sometimes you have to break that cycle so that they can start with a new thing that they want to do, the way it's better for them.
That's right.
So look, we got to take a break and we're going to come back and we're going to talk about how you started your business and what made you want to start your business, what your business does, and also, more importantly, how it's gone through COVID, because your business is in 20-odd countries?
Oh, worldwide.
Yeah,
Yeah.
worldwide.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay, we'll
Well,
come back
yeah.
and talk about that. Thank you, Ron.
Radio Italia 1.
You're listening to Peter Salerno on Happy Business Radio on Radio Italia Uno, 87.6 FM. Yes, thank you very much, and thank you for listening to Radio Italia Uno every Monday from 2 till 3 here in Adelaide and across Australia, and now through our podcast across the world, thanks to Ron from Podcast City. And my special guest today is Ilona. Ilona has a wonderful background from being a professional dancer as a child protege, to living in Hungary and Germany, representing the country, as a professional dancer, and then at a very early age, obviously going back to school and learning and setting up her own business. And she ran her own business at a very early age, and then setting up this Synergy consultancy. And it's amazing how, she was doing things 20 odd years ago where before people started thinking of going online, she had picked up a sign from above and ran with it. So, Ilona, tell us, you ran other businesses as a young lady when you were quite young.
Yeah, I mean, the whole idea happened. I was young, and as I said previously, I'm not very academic.
Yeah.
And I have a talent. I have a couple of talents. Dancing, we talked before, is one of my main talents. The other talent I'm having is recognizing when in businesses, when things don't operate perfectly and how to overcome them. That usually that came because I'm actually lazy, and I have a super talent in finding ways to do things quicker.
Yep.
So naturally, when I look into a business, I recognize, why are these people doing all this long paperwork? Is this necessary? Can this be streamlined? Why do people spend so much time on doing certain things? And I realized if they would actually just cut out a whole bunch of unnecessary work, they actually could be far more productive, and they can focus on their strengths. So with that, I decided I don't like all the German authority, and people tell you what to do, when to do, how to do it. And I decided, why do I do that? So I decided I start my own business at a very young age, when in Germany you can't just get an ABN number at the time when you want it. You actually have to prove to the authorities that it's a proper business idea and it will be successful, and then they may consider it. So I have no idea how a 21-year-old could get an ABN in Germany and start a business, but I did.
Yeah.
So with that, I thought I create my own idea of running consultancy, and pretty much less than 12 months later, I realized that's not happening. I won't be a millionaire overnight, considering my first business plan suggested that after 1 year of success, I will be a millionaire. Yeah. So it started up with, like everybody else, very slow. And I had to learn. I realized clients do not come to you.
You have to go to them.
Yeah. So I realized a lot of these things that it doesn't work the way I wanted to have it work.
Well, this is interesting because a lot of people think that you just put up a sign, you get an office and you put up a sign and people will just come to you.
That was me.
Look, but up until recently, there's a friend of mine who was a young doctor, right, who I went to school with actually, and then he went on to further education and became a doctor. And in his mind, he thought that if he puts up a sign, doctor, people will just come to him. And it was at the time when 30 years ago or whatever, doctors were starting to get together in groups, in little clinics and stuff like that. Nowadays they've got bigger clinics, but those days there were little practices, But he wanted to set up his own practice. He had this idea that that's what he wanted to do. And when he put up his sign up as a doctor, for the first month, nobody came to him. And I said, well, what are you doing? He said, well, they don't come. I said, because they don't know you're here. I mean, I drive past hundreds of buildings on the way here and on the way home. I don't read all their signs. I can't read that well anyway.
That's pretty much my story.
Yeah.
I too started up. One person didn't work, went together with a couple of other people, and slowly I got one client and another client, and I realized the work I'm doing, I have to adjust and adapt to things until finally I got to the position that okay, now I have some branding. Now people know me. That little fan club of mine, they book me. I must do something right. A lot of learning had to happen before I actually was self-employed and made money to live off it.
So how old were you when you came to Australia? Because you were already...
Gee.
Yeah,
I was
in your 20s, late
no,
20s.
No.
Much older.
I'm much older.
No. When you came to Australia, I'm talking about.
I'm much
So,
older. I was
because then-
probably over 40.
So you were already over 40 when you
Yeah.
came in, and the reason why I'm saying that, not because I mean I know exactly how old you are because I saw it on the Facebook, but I said
I'm
happy
old.
birthday.
Yeah,
But,
thank you.
Yeah, no, but no. What I'm trying to say is, people think they've got to start a business when they're 25 or 30. You
I
can
started
start
it.
it at 40 or 50 or 60 or
Yeah,
70.
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter when you start the business. It's how you start it and what foundation you put down. That's the important part, because like you said, you started a business in Germany thinking, oh, you're going to be rich.
Yeah.
And it took a year, and then you realised I didn't get anywhere.
No, it took me very, very
Yeah,
long time
Yes.
to muddle yourself through into just getting to the level that I can actually make a living on my own.
Yes.
And synergy is sort of the child which was the end result.
Yes.
Of
Well, this
many
is-
years just
of
being
struggling
self-employed.
along. Yeah. Well, that's what we're trying to say, and that's what every week and every time I do a program, I say, get a coach, get a mentor,
Yes.
look at somebody else and say, what are you doing? What are you doing? How are you doing it? Let me learn from other people rather than learn from my own mistakes.
Yes.
And that's where it's so important to understand that. And like you said, when you were a dancer, we'll go right back to that. You didn't just do the dance yourself. You had a choreographer, you had a director, you had a musical director that said, when we go bang, 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 that's when you do the
And
steps.
a trainer.
Eh?
And I had to run, and I don't like running. But I had to.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So all these things have to be done to get the perfection that you were as a dancer.
Yes.
In business, you need that same sort of coach. You need
And the
that same sort of...
weaknesses.
All the weaknesses happen.
The weaknesses, you have to acknowledge the weaknesses.
And see, when you're busy working for yourself, you don't get to see them. You're so busy working in the business that you don't get a chance to work on the business. And that's what we're talking about. So now tell us about this synergy, because you started that now over 30 years ago.
Yeah, it is. Synergy is
20
around 20 years old, around that, and it led to starting Synergy.
Yeah.
And as I said before, I'm a little bit of a rebel, a little bit of a lazy person, but I have that.
I would call it smart.
Yeah, that's a nice way. I'm smart. So I recognize one thing, and your listeners probably know that time when websites had these flying in galleries and all these flashing things happening, and from 1 minute to the other, that was really the latest things, but awfully expensive.
Yes.
And I recognized something just came to me, and I thought, wow, if I'm having all this attention to these websites, how about I create a website where everybody attention is to my business?
Yes.
Okay, so I don't sell t-shirts, but if I can just get the attention of everybody around me. And that was so the part where I recognized that the internet, the websites, the communication with people could be the path forward. And at the time, brick and tiles, a proper office, a proper shop was the only way how people recognize success. And I went against the stream.
Yep.
And I came up that I want to be online, purely online. And everybody said, you're crazy, you can't do that.
But so
It's a failure.
You actually saw the future. You saw the way things were going.
The way people wanted it.
And,
You know, people.
But you picked that up.
Yeah,
see?
because people wanted to, they got attracted to it. They wanted to interact.
Yeah.
And I picked that part up. If that would be successful, I
Yeah.
did not know at the time. But I just realized if I'm personally giving so much attention to this, wow, look, it's flashy, look how it comes, that captivates me. And I stay on this website for longer. How about I can do this for my own business?
Well, that's what happened. Websites used to be one single page of material. That's it. You do, and you flick to the next page. You flick that, and you flick to the next page. Or first, it's just scroll, and then it flicked, and then it came in. and then they had all the bells and whistles.
I know, nowadays it's totally old-fashioned and nobody does it.
Yeah.
But at the time it was like, what
I
is
still
that?
like all those bells and whistles where the things came in from the side and popped up in front of you.
Like
It's
Michael
a
Jackson's
cartoon.
moonwalk.
Yeah.
It was like, what did he just do?
Yeah, but that's just it. See, so what happened was you, from your creative side, saw that, envisioned that happening in the future, and you thought, how can I use that now? So you created synergy to help other people
Yes,
do
and
that.
that process was super expensive at the time. We're talking here $25,000, and not a lot of people could actually create those websites with interaction.
Yep.
So at the moment, you have to consider I was in a position that my business was successful. I managed. I had one employee who helped me out. And from one minute to the other, I'm spending my fortune, which I just worked really hard for, on creating a website where I do not know if it will succeed in an environment where you shouldn't be just online. Everybody said it will fail.
Yep.
But that's where the dancing comes in. Failure is not an option. I had to learn a lot. I had to spend the money. I had to be really smart in what I'm doing. But perfection, again, was priority.
Yep. Okay, we'll come back and we'll talk about that a bit further on. Thank you.
Radio Italia 1.
You're listening to Peter Salerno on Happy Business Radio on Radio Italia Uno, 87.6 FM. Yes, thank you, and thank you for listening. And please support the people that support us. This year we are trying to help as many people out there as possible. So if you have a product or service that you want to let people know about, get in touch with us, get in touch with me, get in touch with somebody at the radio station. We're more than happy to help you. We've got some really good specials that we're doing for our sponsors. And of course, I'm looking for sponsors for Radio Italia Uno, but also for Happy Business Radio. So if you want to sponsor part of our program, I'm pretty sure it's more than worthwhile. So get in touch with me and I'll talk to you about that. But please, when you see and hear about all our other sponsors, go and have a look, go to their shops, use their services and help us help them and help them help us. Thank you very much. Now, our special guest, of course, today is Ilona Solinska, or Solinska.
Solinska.
Sorry, what? Solinska. I put an I on top of the A. A little Solinska. Of course. Ilona has been around for a long time and she's been doing a lot of things. But, you know, starting as a very early child, in her childhood as a professional dancer, she became a professional dancer. She was always a little bit defiant. She was always a little bit different. She always, had that I can do it attitude or couldn't care less sort of attitude and that rebellion in her, which we love. And the fact is that by learning to dance and being disciplined in that and being told what to do all the time by the choreographer, by the producer, by the director, by the music director, by the overall performances of and working as a team, because you can't be in a group and dance by yourself. You know, you've got to dance in sequence with everybody else. So that is a perfect example of how to work in business. And so many businesses don't work like that. They all want to be individuals. They all want to do their own thing. They want to kick their leg up while everybody's kicking their legs down, and, you know, put an arm up while everybody's putting an arm down, or turn their back when everybody's turning forward. You can't run a business like that, you know, and they don't look at what's happening next. You know, I was in a play once, and after the play finished and all the rest of it, these guys accused me afterwards. They even told me during the play. They accused me of skipping 3 lines forward or something, and this one person missed out a line, and they got all upset. And I thought, look, I did this play for a month. You know, we played it one weekend and the following weekend and during the week and at the end of the month. And I know, well, I'm pretty sure I didn't miss those 3 lines out or those skipped a line or skipped a few lines, but they accused me of it. The point is you can't do that if you're in a play. You've got to say the line so the next person can say their line, and then I say my line and you say your line, and somebody else can jump in and say something else. Business has to be the same. And unfortunately, too many businesses aren't run that way. And if you think of it as a play, then it will be much, much better. But you got on this thing where you thought this is what the future is. or this is where the direction that you like, the bells and whistles of the new websites, and you started creating those sort of things for your clients. And obviously, with Synergy Australia, you did very well. Synergy Consulting, and it's grown over the last 20 years for you.
Yeah, Synergy Consulting Australia was the end result. If you see it like a theatre production or a dance production, this is
Opening
the final.
night.
That is opening night,
Yeah.
yes. Many years to reach to that. We are now 20 people. We don't, this is me again. I'm not talking about employees, considering they are employees. I call them team members.
Yep.
Each of the team member is a specialist on their own, and we work together. Like you mentioned, what you just said with the dancing is perfect.
Yep.
We all have to harmonize, work together, have the same goal, have the same approach to everything.
Yep.
And if you do that, it goes really fast. So our business, we specialize in business growth, mainly for the very large organizations. But we work very closely with our clients, considering they're overseas.
Yeah, and considering you've got 20 team members and they're all in different countries.
Yeah, we have in Europe, in America, South America, North America, and we have somebody in China, and now we're just hiring somebody in South Korea because we're taking on a new large organization in South Korea.
Yep. That's a credit to you. That's fantastic.
Yeah, and I myself decided to learn Korean,
Yes.
Hangul, and because we will hire somebody who speaks English and Korean, and I love learning Korean.
Yeah.
But boy, don't ask me any questions because I'm too shy to open my mouth.
no.
I do speak 6 languages, or is
Yeah.
it 7? I don't
Yeah.
know. So that is just one extra one.
It's like once you learn a second language, it's usually a little bit easier to learn the third or the fourth. You know, I can't speak very well, but I also have got 4 or 5 languages that I speak fluently in, or enough to get by, you know, a bit better than a tourist, you know.
Now, try to learn a language which is an Asian language.
Yes, it's very hard, very hard.
It's very
Look,
different.
Look, it's just like I speak Italian quite fluently. I speak English quite fluently, but I speak a little bit of German or
Sehr
Swiss.
gut.
Yeah, Swiss Deutsch.
Schweizerdeutsch.
Yeah, Schweizerdeutsch. Yeah.
Schweizerdeutsch.
I learned to speak Swiss Deutsch when I was in Switzerland for the 3 months that I worked there and lived there. Then I picked up a bit of French because my sister was.
Bonjour,
Yeah,
Peter.
bonjour.
Ça va?
Ça va? Yeah. Comment allez-vous? You know, but just by helping my sister to learn her French, she became high school here in Adelaide, and she was going to the Adelaide Girls High at the time, and she became the number 1 in the state in French, you know, but I was just helping her by reading the French to her, or she was reading it to me, and I was just checking her French. And that helped me, see, because I speak Italian, French came easy. But then Spanish came really easy.
Spanish comes easy.
Yeah, Spanish came very easy because the words are all like Italian dialect.
That's how I did it. I learned the
So-
Italian, and then
Yeah.
I thought, what? Spanish, that's easy to do.
Yeah, but the reason why I'm talking about this now is because business is the same.
Yes.
Once you learn one part of business, the next part comes easier and easier and easier. Some people say, oh, no, I can't do that. Oh, no, I'll
Yes,
never
you
be able
can.
to do that.
Yes, you can.
You say that again.
Yes, you can.
Yes, you can.
Definitely.
That's right.
If I can do it, trust me, everybody else can do. But it is like, how do you eat an elephant bit
Yeah.
by bit?
Yeah,
So
one
you
bite at a
start
time.
one little thing,
Yep.
you get really good in it, and it's also with the dancing. Then
Yep.
you take the next step,
Yep.
and don't try to be an expert.
Yes,
You're not an
straight
expert.
away. Not straight away.
And you maybe
But
never will be an
look,
expert. That's okay.
I've been saying to people that I'm not very computer literate, right? And I'm not.
Neither am
but,
I.
but I do know what computers can do. I do know what is available. So I go and find somebody who can say, can you show me how to do this, this, and this,
That's
and this?
what I do.
And then they show me how to do it, and I also learn, or at least I can do that then, and then I know it can be done, so I'll go and find somebody. That's what we're talking about in business. Go and find an expert. Go and find a coach.
That's
go and
what you
find a
need,
mentor.
a team. You need this team
that
environment.
team of people around you.
Yes.
And I'll keep coming back to the dance
Yeah.
because the dance is a perfect example of what we're talking about, how this is happening. Now, with COVID, how has that affected your business?
Well, physically, compared to other businesses, not at all, because my business is online.
Yep.
I have my client. Everything is already set up, so we meet on a regular basis online. Everything is fine. What it has affected is my client, where we're establishing a business in Australia, and now we have the COVID restrictions. So I became pretty smart in catching up on what do we have to implement. And like everything in life, it changes consistently. And in business, you have to be able of quickly moving according to what is the requirements right now.
Yeah, okay. So but that's the problem, that a lot of people don't change quick enough.
No, they don't. And they don't see it.
Yeah. Okay, and that's what. Now, the other thing about COVID was you said about retraining and
Yes.
the importance of ongoing and changing your mindset.
Consistently, you have to change. We have to get away from brick and tile. The world how it was, we will not go back. So the norm is what we have now, and it will get more into the COVID environment. We're entering a world where we have to be definitely online available. We have to change our mindset, and as quicker we re-educate ourselves, as better it is. And this is where large businesses have difficulties. It's like a big container ship, very quickly trying to avoid a left, right, and center doesn't go. But we have to, otherwise the business will not succeed.
But see, the fact is, it's not how big the ship is; it's how quick the orders are given.
Yes, very quickly adaptation, learning. What is good today can be wrong tomorrow.
Yes.
And it's the same for me as well. I just learned something and then what? This has to be changed?
Yeah.
I just got my head around it. So that's what is the future.
Okay, we'll come back and finish off with that as well. Thank you very much. Thanks.
Radio Italia 1.
You're listening to Peter Salerno on Happy Business Radio on Radio Italia Uno, 87.6 FM. Yes, thank you. Thank you for listening to Radio Italia Uno, Monday 2 till 3, every Monday, and our special guest every week. And, of course, this week is no exception. We've got a beautiful lady here with us, and such intelligence. And she says, I'm not intellectual. Well, I don't know what you call it. But, look, thank you. And please keep supporting the people that support us. We have a lot of people out there that are supporting our station, supporting this program. So if you hear about them, go and use their services, use their products. And if you have a service or a product that you want to advertise, please get in touch with us. And if you'd like to sponsor our program here, Radio Italia Uno would love to have you as a sponsor. If you want to sponsor my program here, which is Happy Business Radio, and our podcast, which goes to over 30 countries around the world, please get in touch with us, and more than happy to talk to you. Now, today, of course, Ilona Solinska is here, and Ilona is just an incredible businesswoman. She's done so well, from a child protege dancer to starting her own business back in Europe and running that very successfully, finding out and then migrating to Australia and working from Australia, but still having major corporations, major companies, and some of the things that's like so big we're not allowed to talk about them, but we're allowed to say that these are major organisations, major corporations, worldwide corporations from overseas, America, South America, Europe and Asia, and of course from China, and now a huge multi-billion-dollar contract from Korea. So, look, thank you for sharing all this with us, Ilona. But tell us something about, you said about mindset and the ongoing mindset. What are some of the things you had to do that you learned that you think you can pass on?
Well, first of all, let go. Let go of the past. Don't try to be the best how it was 5 years ago. It's not happening. It's hard, but try to let go. Be kind to yourself. Mm-hmm. Secondly, look into your business. Mm-hmm. Look into the world, how the world is developing. Adapt quickly. Learn. We are in an area where every day we have to study, we have to learn. Be quick in adapting to things. Mm-hmm. That is pretty much the key message. But in all this modern technology, in this area where we're living at the moment with robots, artificial intelligence and everything, it won't go back to how it was. Except the fact we are working, we're going into a future, and your business has to be the future if you want to survive. But remember to stay human.
Yep. So what helps you to stay motivated? Because, I mean, we haven't had a chance to talk about your serious accident because you had a major head injury, which would have knocked 99% of the people out, 99.9 out. You know, you're that 0.1% that decided to come back. And, you know, that we just don't have time to talk about that today, but we will bring you back and talk more about that. You have had a major accident that, you know, had your head involved and you lost consciousness and everything else happened. And what motivated you to come back?
I had this feeling like when I'm going back to the dancing as well, that quitting is not an option. I had two choices. I could give in to the injury and my life would be over, or I physically just find solutions how to overcome. I lost my brain function is not there. So I started putting sticky postage sticky things all over the house. I had to, still now, I have to have 3-4 diaries. I have to double check everything because my brain is forgetting things. Mm-hmm. But it was like in the dancing, you don't quit. Quitting is not an option. You have to find a solution around it. The moment you give in and say, well, that's what it is, you lost. You lost the game. Yep.
So the fact is, we will bring you back and talk about that because you do a lot of professional speaking now as well, and speeches for people, and you talk about that particular thing. You talk about your business, how you started it, why you started it, and what keeps you going.
It's mainly the fourth industrial revolution where I'm writing a book. Book is written, but I have to consistently change this because modern technology changes. So my editor said, go back to the pen. That is now outdated. So it is mainly how micro businesses and small businesses have to adapt to the fourth industrial revolution, which we, due to COVID, we got physically catapulted into it, and we have to adapt.
So your main message today is just keep adapting.
Keep adapting quickly. Really, really, really in your heart. Let go what was in the past. It will not happen. It is over. So adapt your business. Adapt also your personal mindset. And be kind to yourself. Take time out. Go into the forest. Go to the beach. Relax. Connect with nature. We are not a robot. We're not connected to the internet.
Not a robot.
Not a robot, no. We're human beings. We need to help each other, work together, and support each other.
Thank you very much. Look, you've been really, really insightful. You've got so much energy that your room is buzzing, which is fantastic. And I hope it came through the video and through the podcast. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening and thank you for watching. And please remember, if you want to sponsor us, we're more than happy to talk to you about sponsoring the program or a section of the program. All right. So thank you very much. Until we meet again, thank you, Ron, from Podcast City, for allowing us to do this and helping us out with it. Thank you for coming in.
My pleasure. Anytime.
Real pleasure. Thank you. Bye.
You have been listening to Happy Business Radio with Peter Salerno. Catch our show every Monday from 2 to 3 p.m. on Radio Italia Uno, 87.6 FM.